In an attempt to simplify Green Globe's model and explain the components behind the company, I'm going to whiteboard for you what Green Globe does and what we're about. We are a highly specialized market development engine, a global information hub through My Green Globe, the site, combined with consulting and advisory services focused on nurturing and empowering those involved in the sustainability industry. So what does all that mean? So Green Globe LLC, the company, has some different pieces to it. One, there's the website, which is mygreenglobe.co. This is broken into two major components. My Green Hub, which has three pieces: a government section, a company section, and a capital section. And then there is the major entry point into the site, which is people, business, local, state, and global governments. And then there is consulting and advisory. These are market development officers who specialize and focus on industry clusters such as energy generation, transmission, storage, air, business services, smart grid. There's 16 of those. They use the information from the site to feed to them to help people, business, local, state, and global governments. Our purpose is to nurture and empower those people, business, local, state, and global governments, to help them navigate through the sustainability industry and together. So people, business, local, state, and global governments, we want these people to come together as one and move the industry forward along with each of their individual agendas and models. Then there is a outreach and education piece, which is made up of Green Globe Financing Forum, My Green Globe Media, and My Green Globe Productions. Green Globe Financing Forum is a forum where these government entities may come to deploy a message or a program that they may have. A business would come there to look for capital that it needs to fund its business venture or to deploy their business plan model to attract and meet capital sources. My Green Globe Media is news briefs, spotlights, and publications such as the Green Minute, the Sustainability Insider, spotlights such as Greenest CEO, Greenest Cities, Greenest Mayors, Greenest Countries, Greenest States, so on and so forth. And then we've got a marketing and advertising piece, which is comprised of e-commerce and e-business packages. The e-commerce piece would be contact management, user systems, web development, and from here, what we're trying, so Green Globe, and then we've got outreach and education, consulting and advisory, marketing and advertising. And what we're doing is taking all of the information that's coming in from all around the world and centralizing it. So there's these storms that are going on right now. We'll call this one capital, and this one government, and then this one we'll call companies. Inside of each of those, for capital you've got, venture capital, private equity, funds, so on and so forth. Government, you've got grants, you've got stimulus, a list goes on. Companies, you've got people who have had breakthroughs, people who are up and coming, movers and shakers in the industry. These pieces, so capital, and this is very detailed, and there's hundreds of things here. I'm trying to keep this as high level as possible. So in the capital piece, this information gets gathered and then filtered, and then an eyeball is put on it to ensure that the information is what we're looking for, and then that ends up in the capital section of My Green Hub of the site. And the same would go for government and companies. So we're barely feeling the breeze of what's going on around the world, because there is just a very large movement going on, the largest movement of mankind, where we believe untold fortunes will be made and lost. Businesses are changing the way they do business. There's so much opportunity and interest and movement happening. We need to capture it and make sense out of all of this madness and centralize it and make it easy for people to navigate through. And so as quickly and as high level as I can, that is a very quick, brief, down and dirty description of what Green Globe does. And just very briefly, if you're asking how do we monetize any of these pieces, and this will be on a different video segment, but for example, the website, these people, business, local, state, and global governments will come to the site and pay for information. And these in here, these 8 pieces, there's 8 sustainable minds. And they will pay for access to these hubs of information. So that's one way to monetize the model. And then we have consulting and advisory. So these market development officers would use all of this information to help people, business, local, state, and global governments move forward and navigate accordingly. And inside of here, there's many ways that consultants would get paid, and us as a company to be able to do that either through equity or through money up front. But that's a second way to monetize the model. Outreach and education piece, the media and the production piece. The productions piece rather, which you didn't get into too much detail. This is really video and photos. And on the video piece, you've got, conferences series. So conferences, summits, and events that governments may put on to deploy, to get out the word or some messages they have. Personal insights. Somebody who may have just bought an electric vehicle or put solar on their house, and we want to interview them and, do a little video clips we can get, and deploy that so people can kind of see what the early takers are doing and what they think about their new products. Chief insights, so interviews with CEOs of companies, just a whole series of videos, because people don't read, and we think that video is the way to go, and to make things very simple, easy to access, organized, and they can watch a quick snippet of video and get what might take them 45 minutes to read somewhere else. That's the way to go. So these two pieces, the media and the production piece, we want that to, because it's a combination of so much nonprofit and government stuff that's going on, we want to be able to take all of that and stick it into the site, but we want to make that free for people, because we want people, for example, when business and governments come together to produce an electric vehicle, they take a lot of time and resource and money to be able to do that. And so when they produce this electric vehicle, now we want people to buy it. But people aren't going to buy it if they haven't been kept in the loop, because they're not going to know how far it goes, where it plugs in. They're going to have ranging anxiety. They're not going to know anything about it. And the time it takes to catch them up to speed might be a year or 2 years, and it slows down the commercialization and rapid deployment of what these people have spent so much time and money focusing on. And so we want to make, certain information available, to people and for free. So money would have to come in from the people who are recording these pieces from government and nonprofits by the way of grants. Because when grant money comes in, we have the money and the capital to be able to produce all of this and then make it for free. And the point of that is to get everybody all around the world to understand the global green economy and not be confused by it and not turn away from it, which affects voting outcomes and things like this. Another way we monetize the model is marketing and advertising. So, through these e-business and commerce services, that's one piece. So, of course, we would get paid to develop websites for companies, contact management systems, user systems. But then, if you've ever been on a website and you're on a website looking for televisions, and an ad pops up about ice cream sandwiches. Well, you weren't on there to find anything about ice cream sandwiches, and so that's the problem with web today, is that it's so big and clouded. There's no process and organization behind it, and so people look at those ads as a nuisance. Where on the site Green Globe, and just for example, we've been focusing the past 2 years on just the business piece. There's about 1,000 pages here of opening architecture. And that's just base opening architecture. The rest of these will all fall into line as time moves forward, people and money come into the model. But if you're in, for example, this site, for example, just to give you a quick piece here, so the business piece would be organized it's broken down by country, by state, by city, but then it's broken down by industry cluster. So back up here again, with these market development officers, energy generation, transmission, storage, so solar, wind, electric vehicles, battery, air, water, that type of thing, smart grid, smart meters. So it's broken down by those industry clusters. So if the transportation guy and people in that value chain are on the transportation section of the site, the ads that pop up would and should only be relative to transportation. And so if you're a parts supplier, a biofuels producer, those people are going to have tremendous value in advertising and marketing on the site, because the people who are on these certain sectors and their home page, so the home page for energy generation, solar, wind, biofuels, tidal, they're going to see only ads that relate to them. So this is a very highly targeted effort. And so there's another way that we monetize is through marketing and advertising. And I think that, without getting into more detail, covers it. Right now we are looking for to launch our first crowdfunding piece, which is just a contribution. So the equity piece isn't available yet, and won't be for several months as the SEC kind of irons up the kinks in there. So we look forward to when we send this whiteboard piece out. We hope it helps you understand our model, simplifies it a bit, and we're eager to get our first round in and get people and money in to turn this model that we spent 2 years developing into something meaningful for everybody to use.